The information in this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Consult your healthcare provider for proper care regarding your specific situation.
Welcome back.
Hello.
Hello. Happy Wednesday. Okay, so I will say tonight we have a really, really sad topic. So if this is going to be emotional for you, then maybe tune out for this episode. But we're going to be talking about demises and miscarriages. All right. But I do have a quick little story. This is not like, there's a little joke in here, but it's just a quick little story. It's kind of funny. So I have a really good friend, Jennifer, who... one of the things I really love is like Squishmallows and obviously like weird earrings. But so she sends me this little box from Amazon and it's a potato chip Squishmallow, and I should have brought him, but it is so funny. So there's one of the, like, my husband gets so mad when he sees them all on the bed. He's like, why do we have these? I'm like, because I like them and they're comfortable. But anyway, my favorites are the food ones just because they crack me up. So this one's just a little bag of potatoes and it's got these little like flyaway potato chips like kind of hanging off of it. Anyway, so she sends me this Squishmallow potato chip, and in the box there's a little gift message. You know, it comes with a little gift message. She goes, and it says, "Why did the potato chip go to the doctor?" And I said, "What's the answer?" She goes, "'Cause he was feeling crummy." I was like, that's okay. And of course I showed it to Mark and he rolled his eyes at it. And I'm like, whatever.
Right.
It's funny. So that was my joke. So shout out to Jennifer. She also went to Colorado and she kept sending me pictures. She's got like one of our stickers on her water bottle.
I saw that on Instagram.
And so she kept putting her water bottle in like majestic places. Like,
love it.
But
thank you for your support.
yes. And then she wore a shirt. She always takes her shirt just because she has one of these and wears it. So anyway, one of our biggest supporters.
I love it.
Anyway, okay. So back to the content. So yes, we're going to talk about miscarriages, fetal demises. This is obviously something that nobody wants to happen to them. However, it does happen. So there's no way to prepare for it. But this is just informational so that you know if this is, God forbid, something that does happen to you, what you can expect from the process. So I'll just start out. Differences: miscarriages happen before 20 weeks. Okay. And then, which they're a higher percentage. I think I read on ACOG that it's like most miscarriages happen prior to 8 weeks. In that case, you know, it's like kind of like a missed abortion, spontaneous abortion, if you will.
And a lot of people may not even know.
A lot of people may not even know.
Yeah.
And sometimes it happens later on. This recently happened to a family member of mine. It was devastating, but happened to a family member of mine. They had just found out that they were having a girl, and then she had a miscarriage at 17 weeks. So, and that's like that 16 to 20 week time. That's when you find out usually the sex of your baby, and that's when gender reveal parties happen. Everybody gets excited. And so it's still a very detrimental thing. I feel like they make miscarriages seem less important than a fetal demise, but it still has the same detrimental impact, especially if it's, whether it's your first baby or multiple baby. So, but I think I read miscarriages before 20 weeks, about 10 to 20% of pregnancies. So that's like one miscarriage and 10 pregnancies, or one, like the ratio is like 1 to 10 or like 1 to 15 ratio. So it's still a high ratio. So now, usually the care for these families is the same, just depending on what you're wanting to do with baby afterwards. Now, fetal demise, it can be, now it's intrauterine, IUFD or FD. Those happen after 20 weeks. So 20 weeks or after, and they can happen at any time. I'm not going to lie. We've had some moms that are 39 weeks.
At their due dates.
At their due dates, have a demise from one reason or another. Sometimes we don't know. So don't think you're in the clear, obviously, just until the end, because you just never know what can happen. So always follow up with your healthcare provider. And of course, if you're not feeling, fetal movement, or you have decreased fetal movement, please go see someone as soon as possible. Like, go to the ER, let them check baby, all that good stuff. Now, demises after 20 weeks, also called a stillbirth. Obviously, we have more developed baby. There's more features. These are less prevalent. So it's like 0.6% of pregnancies. And that's like a 100, one demise in like 160 to 175 pregnancies. So not as common, still just as detrimental. Let's see. Of course, they have his risk factors, but miscarriages, demise risk factors, of course, if you're a teen pregnancy or advanced maternal age, those are your risk factors. Of course, if you've got disorders like your own, like lupus or obesity, hypertension, gestational or diabetes, things like that, those can put you at risk as well. Luckily, healthcare is able to manage those types of things. But
Yep. Blood clotting disorders. We
clotting
see a
disorder.
lot of moms on Lovenox. So that prenatal care is extremely important.
Yes, one of our
things like that can help, possibly prevent these situations.
One of our currently pregnant coworkers is on Lovenox. So, of course, lifestyle factors. We're drinking, smoking, recreational drugs, obviously, and let's see. Genetic factors, infections, things like that. There is a higher prevalence, I read, in like the Hawaiian Pacific Islander. Yeah. And I know.
Yeah,
and then following that,
that
African American Black ethnicity population. But yeah, I thought that was wild. And I didn't know if it was like,
why?
I wonder if it's like, are there not as many hospitals like on that particular, I don't know. I didn't delve into that quite further, but
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So here's what'll happen. So you go in, you have decreased fetal movement, something's happening. I've been told our actual factual demise count is 1 in 1,667. Okay. That still tracks with the 0.6%.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe this was, I wonder if that's current update. I think this was 2020 from ACOG information.
Okay.
So, which is, yeah. So, yes, what'll happen is and that tracks. Afterwards, you have the baby. And I will say a lot of the times, not necessarily all physicians and healthcare providers are like this, but sometimes when if you have a miscarriage or demise, they'll refer to your baby as birth tissue. So if you hear that is inclusive of baby and placenta. So
I don't like that term.
I don't either. I don't either.
It's a baby.
Yeah, I know. And I was reading about it and I was like, rude. I get what they're saying, but either or.
Right.
But yes, you'll come see us or your labor and delivery team, your doctor. They will still do an induction. We still want you to try to have the baby vaginally. And that it seems bad, but honestly, it's a faster recovery. You get to go home. You don't want to stay longer than you have to.
Right.
So we'll try to do an induction, see if you can deliver baby vaginally. If not, if something's going on and it's putting you at risk as the mother, then obviously we'll likely do a cesarean section or a D&C and make sure you're safe as well. We don't want to put your health at risk just trying to get baby out. So we monitor you more closely on those types of things. We want to be sure you're okay. Now, when baby's out, you will get the option of having baby in the room with you. This is new for a lot of people, and a lot of like our older like generations are like, why is the baby in the room? even if, 16 weeks, you can still have baby in the room. I will say baby will be very, very, very fragile. So, there shouldn't be a lot of like passing baby around, but you will have the option to have baby in the room with you. This really does help the grieving process, I feel.
Yes.
Help facilitate the bond that they can have, and then before they're able to let baby go. So that's an option as well. What we do in this situation is we keep what's called a cuddle cot. And it's basically a cooled bassinet to prevent the decomposition process. Now, it's still
delay
it. Yes.
It still happens.
Yes, it still happens. So, but it's hard to, have this baby and then say, okay, now I have to pick a funeral home. So the cuddle cot or the cooling bassinet really helps with that as well. You can have the option to have baby intermittently in the room. I've had a lot of moms do that where, if someone's coming to visit them and they may be sensitive to baby being in the room, then they'll say, hey, can you put baby away for a little bit, which we will.
Yes.
This sounds morbid, but we do have a cooling area for them. So we'll put baby away and then bring baby back whenever it's time. I will say the younger the gestation, so if you're, baby's with you and they're like 16 weeks, 20 weeks, they have less integrity in their tissues. So which means that decomposition is going to happen a little quicker. So that can be pretty disturbing for some parents, some families. So that's why you have that option. We do want you to see your baby's face, bond with baby while you can.
Just know what to expect.
Sometimes
at that early of an age, the skin is almost like translucent.
Yes, it is.
And so
that
can be hard to see too. But
Yes.
I think a lot of parents will, keep what we put on baby and keep it swaddled up. So you're really just seeing the baby's face.
Yes. In that situation, you're not going to want to try to unclothe and reclothe baby and other things. So you really should just pick one outfit, stick to it, and then we keep, like you said, we keep baby swaddled, and also that kind of helps contain baby because they need just that. They need to be in a firm place so there's not a whole lot of movement to their bodies. So
yes.
So with that being said, also you will have to choose whether, your funerary processes. I feel like our hospital, we do try to honor the cultures, like whatever you choose to do, whether you want your baby baptized, those are things that we do want to honor. So, pastoral care.
We'll come see if you don't have somebody from outside the hospital that you want, then we can designate somebody for you and for your specific religion.
Yes.
There are different pastoral care providers throughout different religions that they can honor your baby in the way that you want.
Yes.
And we also have a company that will come in and take photographs of the baby if you choose. They stopped that for a while for the pandemic, but I think they're back doing that now.
Yeah.
We had one just in the last couple of weeks.
We like to, we get molds we do our best to get molds of babies' feet, hands, like as much memory as we can for that. Sometimes it takes a while for those molds to cure, but that's something that we'll do as well. But in that instance, you'll start having to think of, after you've gotten over the shock, I guess there's no getting over the shock of it, but you'll have to start thinking your funerary practices. What would you like to have done for your baby? How would you like, do you want baby to be in a funeral home, cremated, things like that? So it's terrible because we're like, okay, you've been here for a little bit. Let's start choosing a funeral home. Mm-hmm. And there's been instances where we've had families with low income. I've tried to call, I think I called 20 funeral homes at one point just to see if I could get a free or cheap, because they couldn't afford it. So, and it was just a sudden thing for them. So,
yeah.
Once you've done your bonding, your grieving, at that time, you will let your nurse know, okay, I'm ready for baby to go. And when you're ready for baby to go, then we will usually call the funeral home for you, unless you do it yourself. We'll call the funeral home for you, and then we release baby to the funeral home. So what that entails also is we don't just give it to any rando person that comes by. Like, they have to show us their ID. They have a release consent form. They usually come get baby themselves from the room, but sometimes, mom's grieving can't let that happen. So sometimes we'll have to intervene and get baby for them. But once we release baby to funeral home, then they'll take them on their way. Let's see.
I feel like, I know it's kind of hard to say and think about, moms have a really hard time letting the baby leave. And I've seen moms hold the baby for, a couple days. And the part that's hard is that the baby does start to decompose at that point. No matter, the cooling room that we have and the
you can only do so
incubator, but the baby does start to decompose, and there's an odor sometimes. At that point, I really, it's hard to let him go, but that's really when you do need to let baby go to the funeral home. So
there's a lot of OBs, like if they are going to their follow-up appointment and then they notice that there's no heart tones and they send them to the hospital or whatever, sometimes they'll release them and say, hey, go home, look at your nursery, grieve a little bit, and when you're ready, come back for your induction and we'll help you. But it's never something anybody plans for. So that's why this information is out there, to let you know this is the process. This is how our facility does it. Not saying every facility is like this, but our facility, luckily, we do have those cuddle cots, and those will be initiated in labor and delivery right afterwards. I'm not going to lie to you. Sometimes our moms with demises and miscarriages with baby will come downstairs to the postpartum unit. Now, we will try to keep you away from all the rooms of crying infants, because we try to be sensitive to that, but sometimes we cannot help it. So if this is a situation that is ever come across and you're like, I don't want to be downstairs with the crying babies, you will have to let your labor nurse know, because otherwise what they do is, unless they're sending you home immediately, they'll send the mom, the grieving parents, and then the infant downstairs. So that happens quite a bit. And I'm not going to lie, as postpartum nurses, I have no problem taking care of you in these situations. Right. However, I do feel so bad if there's a family walking in the hall or a crying baby.
Yes.
It gets a little complicated, because even then, like when we're having baby come down or having mom leave, I'll have to tell everyone, go back in your room right now. I need you to go back in the room just for a minute and then come back out. Just trying to be sensitive. So,
right.
But yes,
that's hard.
That happens too. If baby is born alive and then passes right after delivery, you'll still have to do a birth certificate, and then you'll have to do a death certificate. So it's so heartbreaking sometimes watching these parents like, I have to fill out a death certificate right after I fill out a birth certificate. So it's so hard.
It'll never feel right.
It'll never feel right. There's no words for it. And I, never having been through this situation, I cannot even imagine. But having to choose a funeral home, fill out a death certificate, like those things that are kind of thrust upon you in that moment of time that need to be completed. So, and then after your chosen funeral home has picked up baby, if you're wanting to go, if you're stable enough and you feel like you would like to go home, usually will let you go home if everything's okay. You know, if you're doing okay, your bleeding's controlled, things like that.
Yep.
A long time ago, I had a patient, and this was at one of our major downtown hospitals. This is actually when I was still in nursing school. This was my first, like, I'm going to say this is my first labor and delivery experience, like, but yes. So they pulled me in on a C-section, and the anesthesiologist said, hey, do you know what's going on? Like, because, like, I don't think students were allowed to be there, but it was me and another nurse, another nursing student. They pulled us in on the C-section. And the anesthesiologist was like, do you know the situation? And I said, I was told that it was a demise. And so basically trying to make sure, like, hey, are you good? Can you handle it? I was like, I can handle that. That's fine. And then while they were trying to get this patient's epidural spinal in, because they were going to do a C-section, she had told me, she was Spanish speaking, and she told me in her very broken Spanish, hey, or broken English, and I was trying to understand it, if it looks like a baby, I would like to see it. And I was like, okay. Mind you, she had been 2 weeks since she had felt fetal movement.
Oh my goodness.
2 weeks. And she didn't know. She had no idea. And like in that population, socioeconomic status is a big thing. So I don't think she had health care to get in. So anyway, after her C-section, they basically handed us the baby. Like, and there's different, I don't think there was a lot of cuddle cot use at this particular hospital. Like, it was the downtown, people with no insurance go to this hospital. So yes. So they handed me baby, and I was like, you know what? That was my thing. I was like, I want to make and it was a girl, and she was like 37 weeks. So she was far along. Yeah. And she was like 36, 37 weeks. And I was like, you know what? I would like to make this baby presentable so I can take it to mom. And so I did. Me and this other nurse, I think the other nurse like had to walk out part of the way, which is fine. So we're trying to clean baby up as much as we could. But 2 weeks of decomposing inside the womb was difficult. So I did what I could, found some little clothes. Like, there was like a little section where it's like an old scrub room where you could bathe them, add clothes. Like, they're doing their postmortem care stuff. And then that baby's head was like so gelatinous. So I put like several hats on it. Yeah. I put several hats on her to make her like stable. And then I remember wrapping her up and taking her to mom, and just so she could see her. But yeah.
So hard.
That was my first labor and delivery like experience, like when you do labor and delivery, postpartum, nursery. My first experience in that. So I do have a soft spot for demises and these particular patients. So.
Yep. So.
Any other comments, concerns? Yeah, that one's.
I think we
covered
it.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of like fantastic, stories obviously on that. So, but we just want to make you aware, hospital wise, facility wise, if this is something that were happen to you, which hopefully you never would, but if something like this happens to you, that's how we process this. So, okay.
All right.
Well,
that's it.
Follow up with your obstetricians. If you feel like there's decreased fetal movement, please go see your doctor. If you feel like there's a trauma, accident, something happened, please go see your doctor. We can always make sure baby's okay. Any bleeding, large gushes in fluid, please go see your primary doctor, or your OB-GYN.
Yes.
So, yes, please go see someone about it, just because. Well, you'll have a better day, and then our next episode will be a little bit more uplifting.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening today. The Rattled Nurses podcast is not intended to provide medical advice. It is not endorsed by our employer, and we are not speaking on behalf of our employer. Our commentary and stories are our own.
Also, on a serious note, we want you to know that if you are feeling blue or depressed, it is okay. You're not alone, and there is always someone to reach out to. You can call the National Maternal Mental Health Hotline at 1-833-TLC-MAMA, or text the crisis line. Text HOME, HOME, to 741-741. Remember, you're doing a great job. Now go warm up your coffee.